welcome to Creative Block. We're your hosts, V.
And Sean, aka Lord Spew. We talk shop with other creatives in the animation and comics about things like finding your artistic path or the process of making art while we doodle on magma.
We asked people on our social medias if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts. If you haven't yet, check out our Patreon and you can subscribe to our channel.
Today, we have with us my friend Kobold'S Crossing. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is super exciting. You do illustration, you have a sticker club and a community, an art community on Discord. What else?
A streamer.
Well,
barely a streamer these days, but I streamed a lot in the past.
A professional streamer like Ninja or Pokimane.
That's true. People say I'm a lot like Pokimane. I do hear that a lot.
Really? Is that a joke? Is that a bit?
No. People say Jam's a lot like Pokemon.
Oh.
That is true. That is true. Both are true, really. I've heard both.
That's so funny. Okay, I wanted to ask you how did you kind of imagine going into arts as a career? Like, when did that kind of like happen for you? Like that thought?
Oh gosh. Well, I never envisioned myself as an artist growing up. I know a lot of people, a lot of people I talk to who are my peers say, they grew up doodling and drawing and all that stuff. It's always been something that they've done. I doodled here and there growing up. I did like stop motion and stuff, I guess was more my forte growing up, but never really drew a whole lot. It wasn't even until like 2015 that I started drawing. I decided, I was like, I've always admired people who could draw. And I was like, all right, well, I want to learn how to draw, but everything I do looks bad immediately. So I was like, I'm going to just do one drawing every day. And I've pretty much done that since. And then, I worked at a nonprofit supporting people with developmental disabilities. So I was a vocational case manager. And then when the pandemic happened, I had been doing this daily drawing and posting my art online and was starting to get a bit of a following. So when I was furloughed from my job, I really dove into drawing. So I was streaming and drawing and posting art online a whole lot. And then when it came time to work again, I realized I had the potential to maybe make the same amount of money, but doing art. And I really fell in love with art. So that was like my passion. And I was passionate about.
You almost kind of did the PewDiePie thing where it's like, I'm going to draw every day. Like and he documented it,
Yeah, you're a lot like Pokemon. You're a lot like PewDiePie.
That's
I feel like this story is going to make some people really inspired and some people really mad because the way that you draw, it looks like you've been drawing forever. Like all your drawings look like you, and no offense, but your stuff looks kind of effortless when you do it. So like how did you, I mean, you started drawing pretty late. How did you land on the style that you've landed on? What was developing this style that you use so often? Like, did you just have you were like, I know what I want to draw like?
Well, no. So like, I originally started doing like portraiture, like trying to draw portraits of people. And I was so bad at that I was like, all right, well, I'm going to just draw made up stuff now because I can't draw from life. So I just started drawing like little cartoon characters. I grew up like loving cartoons. So I think I like took a lot of like early inspiration from like we were talking about earlier, like Pokemon and like Nintendo stuff and like Courage the Cowardly Dog, all the old Cartoon Network stuff. So I think I was always kind of more leaning towards the more cartoony kind of rounded shape, bubbly characters. And then it's just, I experiment a lot. I don't try to just, I do have a distinctive style, I think. But I try to keep it a little fresh, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm making sense here, but
Do you mean that
I think it
you're
making
just kind
sense.
of trying to have fun with it? So like you're not trying to stick to a specific style so you can have more fun with it?
yeah, I think
Hmm.
it's just more I didn't really try to develop a style. I just was drawing things a different way until I found something I liked. Like I kind of think of it like, there's multiple ways to draw one thing.
Hmm.
So I kind of think of it as like having like a big toolbox and like there's multiple different tools for everything. And whatever I find interesting or like at that time is what I use. I try not to limit myself, even though my stuff does look like it's drawn by me. It looks very similar in a way. It's not something I am like actively trying to do, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you just had a pretty clear set of influences. Maybe the problem with all you people that are having trouble developing your style is you don't know what you like.
I think it is true that you have to shape your personality and who you are as a person, and by that you have to make choices by being like, okay, yes, I like this thing, and being okay, because sometimes I feel like, if you're a people pleaser or something, it can be kind of hard to commit to like influences and to be like, yes, I do like this
Yeah.
thing. So it is really inspiring to hear that for you. You just kind of naturally had all of these kind of influences like locked in. You're like, okay, cool, like I like this, I just like it, and I could intuitively follow this path. That is so inspiring and so cool. So when did you start drawing every day?
It was around sometime in 2015.
Okay, like 10.
Yeah, so about 10 years ago at this
Mm-hmm.
point. And I have never, until like literally last year, I've never taken like an art class outside of like middle school art. So I just kind of was like, well, there's only one way to like learn how to do stuff, and that's to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And my stuff looked so bad for so long, and I hated everything I drew. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. It was very, I wanted to give up a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a lot of people kind of feel that way. And even still now, sometimes I'll draw something and I'm like, oh man, this is terrible. Why am I doing this?
How did you push through? How did you, like, even though you wanted to give up multiple times, what are the things that you told yourself, or like the habits that you built that helped you get over that hump?
um, well, I find the act of drawing very fun. I think it was more so like looking at the finished product I didn't like as much. So
Ah.
I was like, but I had fun when I made it. I don't like the end result of it, but I was having fun while I was making it. So I was like, if I just keep making stuff, eventually it's going to be good, and then maybe I'll enjoy, the end output of it. But it was just I knew I wanted to get good at drawing, and you gotta suffer through it a little bit. It's not easy, but if it's something you really want to do, you'll keep up with it. And it's not like the drawing every day thing. It didn't have to be like a fully rendered awesome drawing like every day. It could have just been like drawing a shitty little like tree. Like that just looked horrible. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I wanted to do, and I feel like if it's something that you want to do, you just gotta push through it. And if you
And
don't have any like ideas or motivation for it, just I don't know, if you see something that you like, you can try to like redraw it in your style, or even try to like just for like even if you're just like trying to practice, I wouldn't say, post a replication of someone else's drawing, or
Mhm.
or like without crediting them at least. But just if you truly are feeling uninspired and don't know what to draw, just open up a comic book or something, find a page that you like, and then just like draw that.
I think this is so true. I feel like I was kind of struggling 2 days ago. I was like, oh, I don't feel like drawing a comic page today. I feel like that would be too much like thinking, and I don't really have a lot of brain space. So I did that. I was like, I'll just look for some cool pictures on the internet and just draw my characters in these like poses. And it's so nice. Then you're like done and you're like, okay, that was still fun. I got to draw. I got like a picture out of it that I really like. How did you kind of, because it can be, we have somebody who asked on YouTube, Blaze Launcher asked, did you go to school for art? Which you said no, but how did you build these habits without having any guidance? You know, sometimes you can tell someone, oh, just draw every day, but then they're like, oh, I'm not making any progress. How did you build it in a way that you felt that you were getting better?
I had read online, I don't know who to credit this to, but like the old saying, like progress isn't linear, there's ups and downs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But someone said that progress is like a staircase. And that like really resonated with me. And so, or there's that, and another piece of information, or advice that I had heard was like, when you look at a drawing that you've done and you don't like it, or like you're feeling like you're in a rut, that if you keep pushing through, that's when you're going to improve. So it was kind of encouraging to hear, like, even if at that point I didn't believe it, like hearing the first time, I was like, yeah, whatever. But I was like, you know what? If I keep trying, maybe they're right. Maybe there will be this like big growth movement or moment, and I'll suddenly be able to draw things I wasn't able to draw, or I'll like my drawings a little bit more. And I pushed through it, and I liked my art again. And I think, at least for me, that is true. So it's like as soon as I start feeling really unsatisfied or unmotivated with my work, I know that if I just keep pushing through on the other side of that, I'm going to start feeling good about my work again. And that was just something that was really encouraging to me, as someone who wanted to, keep getting better, to just know that, it's like you're going through a little tunnel, and you got to get out on the other side, and there's all this nice sunshine.
Wait, is your art journey like a tunnel or a staircase, or is it a staircase in a tunnel? The art journey is like going up a staircase, but you're drunk, so you fall down the staircase sometimes again.
Well, like, have you ever like been to like going through like terminals at an airport, and then you have like an escalator or a staircase that's in a tunnel, and you're like going up?
Mm-hmm.
I The art journey is a lot like that, I would say.
Ah, that's funny. That's a really funny image. I think that's really cool too. It's so inspiring to hear, like, okay, that you have a way of kind of fighting, like kind of logicking your way out of like a bad art block or art time. You're like, okay, you, you'll be better. This is how it's supposed to go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's natural for everyone to every once in a while, feel stumped or feel unmotivated. And I think those are like it's totally normal to feel that way. And I think a lot of people feel that way, and probably a lot of artists, if you're out there listening, a lot of artists that you admire probably also feel that way. So it's
Mhm.
like, it's totally normal. Don't let it get you down. If you're going through something right now, just keep doing it.
And so you were drawing every day. Were you posting every day as well, or was your posting quote unquote, I guess, strategy like different from your drawing strategy?
Well, so when I start right from the moment I started drawing, I didn't like want to have a big art account or anything,
Mm,
but it was just for like kind of like an accountability thing. So yeah, I didn't want to have a big art account, but I kind of wanted to post. This is like, 2015. This is what people say is like the
mm,
era of like posting on like Instagram.
mhm,
So I thought it'd be fun to just have a little kind of like hobby account to keep myself accountable, just
mhm,
post a little doodle every day. And then, I was posting to like no one for years. And like I was happy with it. By the time I was becoming better at drawing, I got a little bit of a following. And then it was that I didn't have any specific thing I wanted to post to my account. It was just kind of like, this is my drawing for the day. Here you go. Like, just here's just what I did today. There was
mhm.
nothing like special. I didn't have any kind of planning, for like, any like social media content or anything like that.
And so you said that like so you were posting every day, you weren't really thinking about it. You got a little bit of a bigger following. Did you notice when did you kind of notice that there was a change in like that in your following? Because now you have like a really big account on Instagram. So I was kind of wondering if there was like anything that you did differently, or if it was just posting every day, or if you were like thinking about your art in any kind of specific way. Because you did bring up like, okay, now I can try to live from this. Whereas
Mhm.
at the beginning, it was just a hobby. Oh, actually, there's a lot of questions that can also come from this because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably changed your relationship to art. But um, let's say, what happened that made you feel like you could try living from your art?
Well, during that time, I was doing a lot of like streaming on Twitch during my process. And then I had like probably when I started to take it like really seriously, I had, a decent following. I think I had like probably like 3,000 or 5,000 followers, which for me was like, it was really huge. And I was like, I was furloughed from my job, so I had all the time in the world to just draw and stream and
Hmm.
do commissions for people. Like I started doing commissions around that
Hmm.
time. And then that's kind of where it clicked for me, where I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to get really serious about this, it almost kind of serves as like almost a portfolio. I know that's like not the most healthy relationship to have with social media sometimes,
Yeah.
but like I wanted to start putting out a little bit more thought out things other than just like a doodle I did
Hmm.
that day. So then I think probably then it was a turning point for me to start like be like, okay, well, I want to have something to post, so I'm going to draw something that looks a little bit neater than just a sketch or like a doodle. So I started spending more time and being a little bit more thoughtful. I started really getting into like character designs and making like different little characters around that time.
Mm.
Um, and that was kind of like the big shifting moment for me.
Do you we have a question about your character designs from Rikueto on Instagram. They say, I love your character designs. What is your process in deciding on shapes and colors for your pieces? Do you have any specific sort of workflow, or is it just what you're feeling at the time?
It's definitely a lot of what I'm feeling at the time. Like I wish I had some like kind of cool process or anything like that. I just kind of go in with like a very vague idea. Like I just kind of like, well, I have like a memory bank of like adjectives and nouns or like fantasy related
Yeah, I know
things.
tons of
So it's
adjectives and
like,
nouns too. I get you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
If we're bragging right now, I got a few
yeah.
in the chamber.
Damn, he's like a walking thesaurus, this man.
Yeah, dinosaurs
No,
aren't
but like
extinct. Thesaurus Rex, dog.
He like he
Theosaurus,
avoided the
Thesaurus
comment.
Rex.
Thesaurus Rex. Oh my god.
No, but it's just I just kind of sit down and I'll be like, oh, I want to draw, like we have on the prompts here, space goblin, and I'll just be like, what would a space goblin look like? And most of the time, all my drawings start off with a circle. So like an oval or a circle. Yeah, like I don't know. I really like rounded shapes. I don't draw a lot of characters with like a lot of edge to them. I don't know, and that's kind of where I go. I have like some vague
Yeah.
idea or an emotion I'm thinking of, or like if I'm listening to music or something, what that music is making me think of, and I just
Yeah.
kind of just go from there. I don't have anything. I don't. There's no secret sauce here.
Yeah,
I wish I had a cool
when
process.
Kobold's Crossing is talking to me, they've always said keep the edge to the subject matter, not to the drawing. And so
Mhm.
that's why Jam's drawings are so edgy and like adult kind of material.
I mean, look at this one right here that you see on the page. I mean, I don't want to like.
This is only for
I don't.
adults.
Can you show this on YouTube? Can you show this on
is
YouTube?
only for adults.
Only for
This is
adults.
suggestive. We all know what this
Kids.
is.
That is so funny.
That's a cyber titty. I'm just kidding.
So it's interesting. So let's kind of talk about, I'm trying to pepper in like some of the questions that we got at the same time because a lot of them are like process related and like kind of what I want to get into also on the pod. Cigarette Tattle asks, what is your process for drawing clothing for fantasy characters? Because we're kind of on the subject of character design.
Okay. To be fully transparent here, like I said, when I was like, I had a hard time drawing like portraits and people
Mhm.
and making everything like anatomically correct, that I am a big fan of cloaks and robes and things like that. So the more I can cover up what a body looks like, the better.
That's
So
so smart.
so I do a lot of like, like high fantasy garments, like robes and cloaks, and I don't really have any specific process to that either. Like I'll look up some, maybe like look at some like reference photos of like, I don't know, like Lord of the Rings or something, other like fantasy related things, and just kind of see like what's out there. Also looking at a lot of like medieval clothing is really fun. It's just
Mhm.
like, so it can be so colorful and just like doesn't has no practical use really. It's just like very, very funny to look at. And I think doing that is kind of how I don't know, I don't really think of myself as like drawing clothing for these characters terribly well. It's like it's not
It's just
a
part of
main
them.
focus of what I'm doing. Yeah.
I wanted to kind of hop off of, or what's the word? Bounce off of the topic. Piggyback. Oh yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of the fantasy kind of clothing thing. At a certain point, you made you made a decision to focus on and brand yourself kind of as a D&D kind of character artist. Like there was a time where it wasn't D&D specific, but you started getting more and more D&D requests, right? Is that,
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
getting that
So
right?
yeah. And part of that was like when I decided to become a full-time artist, it was like, I decided I was not going to return to my job, and I
Mhm.
was very scared about how I was going to make this work. And I already like a lot of fantasy stuff. A lot of the commissions I'd gotten were like for people's like D&D characters.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I already enjoy doing this. I've done the work in the past. And then it's kind of like, it was kind of it seemed natural to just be like, all right, for my living, I'm just going to draw people's D&D characters for now.
Mhm.
And it's worked thus far. But it's interesting you say that, because in more recent, like probably about last year, probably around when I started my Patreon, I was kind of like, you know what? It is very exhausting to do freelance commissions only for a living.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's a lot of work, and I didn't want to pigeonhole myself to one genre.
Yeah.
So like I've been branching out more recently,
That's
but
great.
for a long time, I mean, that's what people probably know me for. People who follow me probably know me more for like the D&D characters, or like fantasy art, or just tabletop characters in general,
Well, kind of
than
goes
anything
with your
else.
name now too, because you had a name change also.
I did have a name
Can you
change.
talk about why you
Um,
changed your name, or how that came about? Because you
Mhm.
used to be Gumshoe Gumshoe, and that's how I
I
met
did.
you.
So Gumshoe, I didn't know what to name my little hobby account, and I couldn't think of anything. And I was like, oh, Gumshoe is a funny word. And then
Mhm.
I tried to use Gumshoe, and it was already taken. So I was like, all right, well, what if I just do Gumshoe again?
We're doubling down on more
Nice.
gumshoes.
I
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody
I
who
did
really wants a specific username, just double it, triple it.
just yeah, it's worked for me. It'll work for you, I promise. But yeah, and like, I didn't expect anything to happen with my account. So I just kept it. And then it was one of those things where it was like, by the time I was like doing this full time, I was like, this has been my account name for years. I'm so afraid to to change it.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, this name means nothing to me. And it like, if someone wanted to look up oh, I want to find like a fantasy artist, blah 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 blah, and they're like, oh yeah, let me just like search Gumshoe and then see what comes up. And it's like, it wouldn't, it just it didn't vibe with what I was doing anymore.
Yeah.
Or I guess I should
Mhm.
say it didn't vibe with what I was doing at all at any point. But I decided I wanted to be a little bit more professional and serious.
Nice.
No, that's really smart because you've picked a username that kind of reflects. I mean, I hate to say this word, but because we're talking about social media, I'm going to use social media words. That kind of reflected your brand, and I think that is something that we don't really always think about as artists. You know, like, okay, like, well, but I guess I don't know. Well, Sean, you do have your Lord Spew alias. I just use my real name. So I wonder how, I don't know. I'm just talking. I'm just saying words. Um
Well, I mean, Sean does throw up a lot, so it's like it does. You know, it's like I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It fits.
Yeah. Yeah, throw up all the time. Yeah, well, so I've actually been having a little bit of a I it's not that I want to change Lord Spew. It's that there are times when I feel like Lord Spew is slightly grosser of a name than I think of myself. And for a little while, I in my head canon, I've been rebranding as like, oh, Spew, like we're gonna like have like slime imagery. It's not like throw up, it's like gack, you know what I mean? But like it is something that I think about. I mean, it's a name that I chose like 15 years ago, and I'm just that's just the rest of my life now because of this name that I chose in a death metal band or whatever. But it's something that I think about. I don't think I would make cartoons under the name Sean Glaze necessarily, but having an alias is a little bit freeing. And I feel like it's like a safety net for trying something new. That's how it felt to me. Were there
any
Oh, sorry, go.
It's like I was gonna ask does any of you two have your like family following your art accounts?
Yeah.
They at one point followed me. They might have unfollowed now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was asking because I'm like always curious. I mean, like I feel like because for me, since it's just my real name, then yeah, there's a lot of people from my family that like follow it. But I'm also just kind of like, you know. I wonder if that ever comes into account when you like make content. But I feel like for you, Jim, your
Yeah,
content
I'm
is
staying
pretty.
pretty safe here. Yeah, I mean, and also, hey, Sean, Lord Spew, I just want to say, you know, I release you. You can change your name. It's so freeing. If you
So
want to change it, you know, there's definitely a hiccup, but you know, it's almost like, think of it this way: the people who support you the most will follow you wherever you go, and then the people who hate you won't know that you changed your name, and then maybe they'll rediscover you, and they'll be like, "Oh, I actually like this version. I like
You know, the
this."
problem is I'll probably change my name and then get a sudden urge to make the grossest art that I've ever made, and suddenly I'll really fit the Lord's Spew stuff. But like even on this page, like I feel like some of the stuff I'm drawing is kind of cute, and I'm like Lord Spew, you know, like you. I don't know. I feel like
it sounds like your name has you hostage.
No, it's something I think about. It's something I think about. And I'm sure that like anybody with an alias for a certain amount of years thinks about it a little bit. Like, oh, like what would it be like to change? I don't really think that I'm gonna change it, but it's something that I think about sometimes. And it's nice having an alias and the possibility of changing it or shedding it or whatever. I know it helped me feel like I could make cartoons that maybe I wouldn't be able to be hired for if I wanted a job at Disney or something. Like if I had like a professional account under my real name and with my portfolio, and then a separate secret Lord Spew account, but they've kind of merged, and I'm just talking about me now. So I apologize. We could shift it back to Gumshoe though.
I was gonna ask, so you started with commissions before switching up your way of making money doing art. Um, how how many commissions did you feel like you had to do in a day to kind of support yourself
Oh my
financially?
gosh. And so, and this is like, you know, this I don't regret doing this because it's a good learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
When I first started off, I was charging like $50 to $75 for a character.
Yeah.
To make a living off of that, you have to draw so many characters for so many people, and it's like I would wake up at like 7 in the morning. I'd start
Uh-huh.
drawing by 8, and then I would like go to bed at like 3 in the morning and then start all over again. So
No.
like I felt like I would have to
Yes.
draw like I'd have to draw like, you know, at minimum like 3 characters a day. And like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not even like possible to do that for me. Like and also like, you know, you're communicating with people. Like
Oh,
it
that's
wasn't like I would just
right.
like
It's
I
not
wasn't
just a
just like
drawing.
You're
Yeah.
getting
yeah, like I was
revisions,
like
yeah.
getting feedback from them, getting revisions, and then that was just like totally not obtainable. It was just not doable. And like,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
luckily I live with a partner who was willing to go through go through that with.
So I wanted to ask, what if there's ever been a struggle for you in charging a certain amount for your art because you have simplified characters? Do you ever feel like
Mhm.
like like you want to be able to charge more, but is there like an argument in your head that like, oh, I can't charge more, these are just little guys? Like what do you?
Oh, that
uh,
was like a constant, that was like a daily struggle for me.
mhm.
Oh
Because
wow.
it's not like, and you know, I'm not professionally trained. Like I don't like, it's like until, you know, I think it was like kind of like a confidence thing too. It was like confidence. I draw very simple things and I like didn't go to school for this. So I didn't feel like I deserved to charge more.
Mm.
That's
Um
so funny. I mean, I
and
get
then
it, but also
yeah. Yeah, but it's like, and then, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, you got to support yourself.
Yeah,
And if someone really wants to support you, they're going to be willing to pay a little bit more.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
they're going to be willing to work with you on the price. But I definitely was like, I looked at my art and I looked like, and you know, what's the saying? Comparison is the thief of joy, or something like that. I would look at other artists who are like amazing, and I would like look at how much they're charging for commissions, and they're
Mhm.
probably like only doing commissions on the side. This probably isn't like their main gig. But
Mhm.
like I'd be like, oh man, they're only charging like $80 for this, and I'm gonna charge like the same thing. I was like, that's I can't do that.
Mhm.
Um, but you know, if anyone is feeling a similar way to that, you know, it's if people are gonna hire you, they're hiring you because you're unique work, and
Mhm.
you know, don't get bogged down by all that because I I definitely did not make as much money as I should for like 2 years. I was like really underselling myself, and
Whoa, so you
I feel
were
like that's
doing
like
everyday commissions. You were doing the like, because you said so you started working from 8 a.m. until 3 a.m. for 2 years?
so yeah. Essentially, I did entirely burn myself out. Like
Mhm.
after 2 years of that, I had like a total meltdown. I
Mhm.
stopped streaming entirely. I, you know, I stopped drawing every day for a little bit. I like would like draw stuff and like post it maybe like once or twice a week.
Mhm.
I my stuff got very samey. I wasn't really pushing any boundaries, and it was like the worst time, like creatively and financially, and just like
Oh
it
no.
was the worst. It was the worst. And you can't, you know, that's why I'm adamant about people charging what they're worth. Like anytime anyone in my community is like, "Oh, I'm going to put up these commissions." So if I know someone is trying to, you know, make a career out of this or trying to support themselves this way, I'm very adamant about them at least considering raising their prices or talking with the person. I think people are afraid to have that conversation with clients
Yeah.
about like their rates and everything. And I mean, it's easy to say when you're not the one who needs the money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So daunting to have to like raise your prices and whatnot. But no, I think you gotta do it.
Yeah.
It's you can really burn yourself out trying to make it work, trying to make something work that clearly.
Have you ever had to raise your prices in the middle of a project because you realized what they're asking for was more than you thought?
Oh, I've am so afraid of confrontation, and I'm like,
It's only happened to me like twice, but it is an awkward.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, you said you're too afraid of confrontations. You're like ever change the price during, even if it's
Yeah.
like a lot of notes.
Yeah. So, I mean, now I have like a contract. I like let people know, like, I do a thing where it's like, the first however many revisions are free. But like once you like start like getting a little like nitpicky and everything, and it's like a lot of revisions, I'm like, you know what? We're gonna have to start changing or like charging a
Mm-hmm.
little bit per revision.
Hmm.
If the project's taking a long time. And it's like there aren't too many projects that I've worked on where it's like there needed to be a ton of revisions. So yeah, it's
What's
I've never
your
had to like chart like I've definitely felt like wanting to
Yeah.
do it, but I never have. I never pulled the trigger on that.
what's your most nightmarish commission story?
Gosh. Well, okay. The most nightmarish one I had was, and I hope they're not listening. But
You can
so
keep it pretty vague, but
I had a commission, and it was like my first like big one where it was like going to be like thousands of dollars. Um, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. And it was like someone was making a game,
oh.
and they're like, we're making an indie game, and we want to like thank people for playing our game, like the people who like pre-ordered it or whatever, or like wishlisted it. So we like want to have different thank you cards for all the characters and like all the areas and everything. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then like, I think it was like 16 different characters. And I finished it up, and I was like, they like, the whole time they were like really transparent, show me the whole game and everything. The last, so I sent the last one in. Like, this is perfect. We can't wait to like show you everything, blah, 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 blah. Like, we're going to do a launch event. You're invited to attend that. I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And then it was kind of like radio silence for like a week.
Hmm.
And then they already paid. But I
Okay.
was like, so
Phew.
they already paid. They already paid. And then the guy messages me back and is like, hey, so there's been a change of plans. Like, our company has been bought out by someone else. And like, we're trying to make this an NFT, like crypto game. And like, they're like, so we like want to mint all these like cards that you made. And then like, that was just something I was like, it was like, especially at the time where like NFTs were like really big and everything, or, quote unquote big.
Hmm.
And I just like, I didn't want my name attached to that. So like, I was like, and this is why you got to do contracts, y'all. I didn't
Hmm.
sign a contract with them.
Oh,
Um,
fuck.
so I was like, well, please don't use my work. And they're like, well, you need to refund us everything we gave you then.
What?
So so they're like, we're just gonna, you gave us the thing, we paid you, blah 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 blah. And then I ended up just like giving them back like 95% of the money, and was like, just please do not use these. So it was like, weeks worth of work just like gone for nothing.
No. So you mentioned that you didn't have a contract set up and now you do. How did you draft up the contract? Did you do it on your own or did you have a lawyer help you out?
Well, no lawyer. I already have a lot of friends who do commissions with, different board game companies or even like individuals, who, have spoken with lawyers and drafted their own, I'm blanking on the word now.
Contract?
Contracts.
Yeah.
So they've drafted their own contracts, and I was kind of able to piggyback off of them. It's nothing like too serious. If I'm working with a studio, I definitely, um, it's definitely a little bit more a hefty contract. But if I'm just doing commissions for an individual, I don't really worry about it too much, because I think a lot of people kind of get freaked out when you send them like a 2-page contract, and it's like, I just want you to draw my little D&D character for my little game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like it's a little different, but you know, hey, you should definitely, if you're doing some work for like freaking like uh a big company, you should definitely consult a lawyer, probably maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take my legal advice, but maybe talk to a lawyer.
That's so crazy. And so, okay, so Thank you for sharing
Your nightmare client
commission
story.
nightmares with us. Maybe that's a segment we should do on the pod. Commission
Nightmare
nightmares.
client.
You know,
Yeah.
after the kitchen nightmare, like um but so there was a moment you realized, okay, this is too much. How did and you said that you had like a pretty bad like breakdown after being so burnt out. From that moment, how did you, one, rebuild yourself, and two, how did you think about another way of supporting yourself, if that makes sense? Like how did you kind of think about, okay, how's another way I can get income from art?
Well, so after I had a big burnout and I was like, I don't know if I can do this, I actually did get another like an actual day job.
Okay, okay.
And I worked as a custodian for my city for about 3 months.
Oh,
And then I was like,
what does that
I
entail
can't do,
real
I can't do
fast?
this shit. I can't do this shit. I was like, I miss being my own boss. I miss this, I miss doing this stuff so much. And like that was like the motivation for me because I was like, I applaud anyone who like holds those jobs. For me, it's just like I really struggle with that. It's something like I don't know how to say it. So like I um have executive functioning disorder, which makes it very hard to like navigate a normal kind of job, like have a schedule, or even just like so like having like a standard day job or an office job like I used to have was like it was really tough for me. And I think just kind of trying to go back out into the workforce, I was like it re motivated me to want to try to be my own boss and make it work again.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of having those like 3 months where I wasn't like I was able to enjoy drawing again because I was like, this isn't tied to my income. And I kind of fell back in love with it. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like a big reset for me where I was like, okay, I'm going to, I know now I really want to do this or else I wouldn't be jumping back into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to set up better boundaries for myself. So now I try to like set up, I work from home. So it's like I don't have a studio that I go to, but I try to
Mm-hmm.
set up like studio hours where
Yeah.
it's like I'm not going like I'm trying to I break those rules all the time.
Yeah,
But it's like
it
at
works
least in
really
my
well when
mind.
I invite you to draw on my stream for 2 hours at 1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. But no, it's like, I try to set boundaries and it's at least being, I break those boundaries for myself. But it's like at least in my mind, I know like you're not supposed to be working right now. Like I have that little like voice in the back of my head. Um, but no, just trying to come at it more professionally. Because when I first started, I just dove right in, not knowing what to expect. I didn't talk to anyone
Yeah.
or ask advice. I just kind of was like winging it the whole
You're just on
time.
the grind set.
I was on the grind set, which probably listening to podcasts like this probably would have helped me having more insight on like what other people do. But
Yeah, you were hours maxing for sure.
Yeah,
I was
hours
hours max.
maxing. I mean, I think it's still like, I think it's so inspiring to see that first, without an art school training, you built a following and you made it your day job. I think that is like the
That's so
dream
dope.
for a lot of people, and it is so cool. And I think you are doing a lot of things right. So,
Well, thank
um,
you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
and I guess so. That's the mental part of the problem resolution where it's like you found your mojo again by being like,
Yeah.
never again will I be
And
a
yeah,
custodian.
and like, yeah, I do want to preface having to take that step back. Having a little bit of a failure is like not bad. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes something doesn't work out in that moment, and you gotta reel it in. You gotta kind of like
Mhm.
approach it differently. I don't know. It sounds pretty silly to say like failure isn't failure, but it's like failing isn't bad. You got to fail to learn, and it's like
Mhm.
if you feel like if you just quit your job and you're trying to make it work and it doesn't work, there's no shame in going back to work because
Mhm.
I needed that reset where it's like I'm
Mhm.
not focusing on this like all the time, and it's like it felt very overwhelming at that point, and having like the ability to take a step back and get some clarity on the situation, kind of rethinking how I want to approach this. Like it probably did save my art career and let me do what I'm doing now. Um, so if you're out there and you're struggling and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go get a day job again. It's because I right now things are pretty tough for a lot of people who are in any creative industry, and
Mm-hmm.
there's no, it's not a sign of weakness to have to take that step back. I think you got to make money to live, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like you got to do what you got to do, but you got to keep that dream alive too.
I love that. That's so inspiring and it's really cool. I think you're making a great point by saying like there's like no shame in going back to like a normal like quote unquote regular job. Because I do think because it's like flow you can always go back to art. Art is like never gonna really leave. Like it's always gonna be there waiting for you.
I like that as a
Um
saying. Art is never gonna really leave.
Put
Put that on some
that on the
shirts.
shirt.
Yeah.
But and then you came up with a different way of like doing art because now you have a sticker club, you have a
Hmm.
community, and you have and actually I think maybe this question can kind of like help us transition into like that like second part of your art career, which is from shiny.doggy on Instagram. What are some ways you have maintained being a kind and caring person online while the internet is the internet?
I mean, I think, a lot of it, I see a lot of, as all of us do on the internet, see a lot of just like negative stuff all the time.
Mhm.
And, it bums me out seeing a bunch of really negative stuff. There's just sometimes it feels like the world is just, it's, the internet can be pretty terrible, but also it can be a really nice place. Like I met a lot of really cool people like Laura Spew over here on the internet.
Hey,
And
that's me.
there's a lot of really cool opportunities to connect with people. And I think there's a lot of times like streaming, you have a mic in front of you. If you're having a bad day, it's pretty easy to just like put that out there into the universe.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I would much rather focus on trying to put out more positivity. It's like, it's not always, it's not always something I like, if I'm like in a really bad mood, it can be a little difficult. But, I think it's always just it's not worth it to spend your time on just like pointless negative stuff. It's like save it for stuff that really matters.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's so much more enjoyable just to be nice to
I
people.
think you attract the
It's
kind
just,
of community that is like the stuff that you put out into the world, in my opinion. And I
yeah.
feel like your community is very positive. You're positive, and then you start surrounding yourself with more positive stuff. And I know you have your bad boy account where you do
Hmm.
curse words
Hmm.
and you
I say hell and damn and frick.
you retweet atrocities and stuff like that. Like you
Oh
find
my
you make
God.
top 10 atrocities lists and stuff like that. But and car
Bad
crash
things that happened to your
compilations,
list.
yeah, fight
Yeah, I'm big
videos,
car crash
yeah.
compilation fan.
Oh my God, that is so
But
funny.
no, I know you're a good kid.
Thank you.
But
My
yeah,
mom, can you tell that to my mom? My mom would like to hear that.
Oh, that's so sweet.
yeah, I'll tell it to your mom.
I'll tell it to you. Yeah. How did you start kind of like having this community? Like, because I noticed you have a like a prompt community where like everybody draws together and it can be a hobby or it can be if they're into art. I think that is so cool. Like, how did you come up with that idea? Kind of when did you start it? And what's your kind of motivation behind it or like your goal with that?
Well, it's not an entirely original idea. I think there's a lot of people who do like, monthly prompts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know, after like streaming and Lord Spew over here can probably attest to this. You know, you'll have a lot of people go in your stream like, "Ah, I don't know what to draw right now. Like I want to draw, but I don't know what to draw. Um, and my goal with it was like, you know, I love seeing people who are especially like just on their starting their art journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like just giving them a reason to draw is like a big thing because sometimes you feel like, oh, I don't have an idea, I don't know what I want to do, and just you know, so it pretty much just started from, you know, people asking me what should I draw all the time, and I was like, all right, here's a centralized
Yeah.
way to tell you, and I think it's fun to see everyone's take on a different prompt. Like, so you leave it pretty vague, and you just see what everyone's take is on you know a single prompt. And I do weekly prompts, and they're like very no pressure. So it's like if you see a prompt that you like in that list that you haven't done before, do that. Or if you see one that you've already done, do that. Whatever. It's just the goal is just to get you to draw. Um, and I think it's nice to have like a place where people can post them, and then it's people like all clapping and patting each other's back about it. And you know, if they want critiques, getting critiques. Um, I think, especially with like, you know, like what Shiny Doggy said, the internet being the internet and social media being a very unreliable place for artists these days, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have like a core group of people you can share your art to and get feedback, or just, you know, sometimes it just feels nice to be validated. Sometimes you're like, oh, I drew this dog. Can someone tell me this dog looks nice? And then have like 10 people be like, yeah, that's a good looking dog.
Do you ever get a power trip because you're like, I want everyone to draw what I want them to draw, and then everyone does it, and you're like, yes, yes, everyone draws a wizard.
You make them draw like your cousin's band logo, and they don't know.
Here's 25 versions. Dude, that's such a good client idea. Dude, you should do that and work with clients and be like, here's like 25 options.
I was just about to say that. I was like, all right, guys, prompt idea. And then here's like this like whole page email I got from a client about like what they want.
Yeah.
But no, it's you know, so it used to be a super convoluted way that we would do this. It used to be like, there's been through many iterations of the prompts. So we used to do it where every week people would throw in prompt ideas, and then the one who was most voted won it. And then I was like, well, I kind of feel bad because people put in prompts and then no one's picking their prompts. So I was like, we had to find a different way to do this. So we did the thing where we made a list. People would just post like different, you know, bring back the nouns and adjectives again. They would post different nouns and adjectives, and then we would just like go on Google and type like, you know, like random number picker 1 through 200, and then whatever two numbers were picked, we'd pull from that list, and that would be the drawing prompt. That got to be too much, so now I am just telling people what they should draw, and it feels really good, John. So thank you for asking.
it feels really good to have them draw what you want them to draw.
You're all powerful.
Dude, that is something that I used to like really want. I don't. It's not for the nefarious reasons like I'm making it sound, but I used to. I remember one of the reasons why streaming really appealed to me once I landed on it was I think before that I was like making different tumblers that anyone could submit to. I was like, draw sexy pictures of Shrek and submit it, and I would like send it to all my friends, or I would create a site that was it's all just digital skulls, and I was trying to get all my friends into drawing digital skulls and submitting them, and I mean, it's just a way for me to like bond with people, but I was also like, why aren't they drawing what I want them to draw? Because they just wouldn't. And I'd be like, what? But when you stream, everybody's kind of drawing with you, and you know, you could give them a prompt and they draw with you, and I was like, yes.
So
yeah,
fun.
I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun.
We had also talking about the prompt. Shiny Doggy asks, I love how you do prompts. How do you hold yourself accountable when you're the one making the prompt? How does the current you drawing the prompt feel about the past you who made the prompt when you don't want to draw it?
Okay. Well, here's some accountability. The last 2 prompts I haven't drawn. I just haven't drawn them yet. I've been on that grind. But it's the
Maybe this was a passive aggressive shiny doggy comment where they're like, I've noticed that you haven't been exactly keeping up with the prompts.
so the accountability part is that these are like stress-free prompts. So it's like I do feel an obligation to do them, and I will eventually. But like I'm not gonna if I've been drawing for like 10 hours on a day and then be like, all right, I have some free time. I'm not gonna like pressure myself to be like, that apple dog prompt that you had, you really gotta get on that. And there hasn't been too many times where I've been like, because now that I'm picking the prompts, I'm like, in the moment, I'm like, oh, if I was gonna sit down and draw what I want to draw, this is what I would draw right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I don't want to draw it, but it's like maybe I've lost that vision that I had in that moment of what I wanted. So it's just kind of like reworking how I would do what I was thinking of at that time, if that makes sense.
Honestly, that makes a lot of sense because I feel like and Sean, you might kind of agree with this, but like I'm currently storyboarding based off scripts that I wrote with my co-creator Sam, and when we were writing it, we were like, we are so funny and this is so smart and I can't wait to draw this. And now that I have to draw it, I'm like, ugh.
And now that you actually recorded the voices, you're like, Sean's voice is really annoying and this isn't funny. He didn't deliver on the emotion in the script.
No, your characters are always so funny.
That's nice.
I will say for anyone hiring Sean as a voice actor, he does really great ad libs.
Thank you.
There also are.
I also
a lot
do
of
very good
ad-libs.
sexual characters. All the characters I do for VEE are so sexual.
Yeah, it's insane. These next episodes are.
Yeah, it's always like Moaner number 5.
Yeah.
Like in the script.
I feel like people are gonna get the wrong idea about me after watching this show, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's
well,
funny.
you got to make stuff that's not perverted for once.
It's true. I gotta people put me in jail. I belong in a cage.
Put VEE in horny jail. So I wanted to ask Jam about. By the way, we didn't really ever address the fact that people call Kobold's Crossing Jam.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And people are like, oh, Kobold's Crossing's real name is Jim or something.
My name is Jam.
But it's not.
No.
Jam.
No. My legal
like
name
a jelly.
is Ben. So you can call me Ben, but my friends call me Jam. So you can also call me Jam.
Yeah. Jam always says, I'm Jam, don't be jelly.
I should start using that.
That is
Jam
really
always
cute.
says that.
I should start using that more often. I already say it a lot, but I should say it more often.
Yeah, this isn't a thing that I'm telling everybody that you say that you've never said in your life. I wanted to ask you about your relationship with comics because you started off with a billion commissions, and now it seems like you're getting interested in narrative, and everyone in the listening right now, they're perking up. They're like, oh, this is getting closer to animation. Is this why you had Kobold's Crossing onto the podcast? Because you started to get into doing some comic stuff, and I'd like to talk about your relationship with comics.
Well, I guess to kind of to tie in what I was saying earlier, switching from a commission-based income to moving to the Patreon was huge for allowing me to start working on things that are more personal. And like, it gave me a lot of free time. Obviously, it takes a lot of time to run the sticker club, but I have a lot more free time to work on other things. And like, when you're doing commissions all the time, it's like you're doing these drawings that are disconnected from they're not connected at all. And it feels kind of weird. And like, I've always wanted to do like a more narrative thing, but now that I have time and the freedom to kind of to work on that, I'm currently developing a kids comic. I won't say for who, but I'll be hopefully pitching that within the next couple weeks.
Hey.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I'm also for my Patreon developing a webcomic. And, I have all these ideas written down from like the years that I've been doing art. I also, you should just write down every idea that you have. You never know when you're going to use it. And so it's like, I want to do kind of like little one-off comics that are like, I just posted one recently just to kind of get the feel for things and trying to do more narrative stuff and focusing more on like, I don't know, it feels nice to me, at least. It feels more, I get more satisfaction from like making a joke or telling a little story, no matter how short or long it is. I get more satisfaction from working on like a more narrative thing or even just telling like a little joke than I do like just drawing a cool guy. And so it's something I'm like interested in, and it's like it's something that has been a challenge for me, but it's really fun because it's like I don't draw super complicated things to begin with, so it's like I already feel like I'm kind of lent more towards that. But having to like maybe render things differently or draw things differently, like I never drew backgrounds all that much, so now it's like becoming like more of like a person who draws backgrounds to go with the characters and how to like fit those characters in the environment. So it's been a little challenging, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and I've been reading a lot more comics to get inspired, and so it's been really fun. It's been really fun, and like I've always had, like I was talking about with like my learning disabilities earlier. Reading has never been my strong suit, but I found like comics and graphic novels to be a really like awesome way to get back into reading, and it's been really cool. So it's like I'm very new to the comic/graphic novel world, but I'm enjoying it all so far, and I'm having a lot of fun working on it.
Can you?
And you work with an editor, right?
Yeah.
How did that relationship start?
Well, I guess like probably the beginning of last year, I had an editor reach out to me, and they were like, yo, I found your profile online, and I think you'd make a really good like kids comic kind of thing. I was like, okay, that's cool. I've never like done that before, and I was like, do I like work with a writer or anything? They're like, you should try to write it first. Just try to like write it first. If you need to have someone else write the story, or if you want to like work with an author, that's something you can explore later on. But you should really try to do it yourself first. Which I'm really glad they said, because I developed a story with them over the span of like 2 months.
Oh,
And
nice.
then this is probably where people might cringe a little bit, but
I'm already cringing.
I like, and luckily, oh my God, they're the nicest person. They're like so patient, and they've been willing to work with me on everything. I was just like, I was trying to imagine I was trying to make a story that I had that was probably better suited for an adult audience, work for kids. So I was taking a lot of stuff out. I was like, this is just not this is not the project for this idea. So like, we already finished everything. We were like about to pitch it. Then I was like, can I get a do-over? Like, can I do all this over again? And I expected them to say no. But they fortunately said yes. And I started developing a whole new story with them that like I think is so much better. I'm so much more happy with, and I'm really excited to.
That's such a cool story. I love that you, first of all, that you realized, okay, this isn't the right story for this format, and that you, even though you say you hate conflicts, you were able to bring it up.
Well, like it was, they were a very nice person. They're a very nice person. So like it felt like I felt safe mentioning that to them. And then, it's I'm coming about, I feel like I don't know the standard way of how this all works, because I've never done this before. But I feel very fortunate that an editor reached out to me to do this, because like I never would have been like, hey, I'm gonna write something, I'm gonna pitch it. Like I don't even like, you all are probably more suited to figure out how to like write a pitch and everything than I am. But so I feel very fortunate. I mean, it just kind of, I don't know. That is the like my whole journey with everything here is just like I feel super lucky. It's like, I don't know how this happened, but I'm so so
So
happy.
what's their role? What's the role that they play in the project and in a partnership with you?
So I'll send them like I wrote out the whole story, like the major points, like if I was like going to pitch it. So it's like very bare bones, just kind of like very direct. Here's all the beats. They kind of help me. They'd be like, all right, I need some more clarity on this point. Like, can we get a specific? Like, there's a puzzle here, or there's a conflict here. Like, how does it get resolved? So I'd come up with how to resolve it. Or maybe I'd have a joke that's maybe a little too mature, and they'd be like, hey, can we like reel that back in a little bit? So it's they're kind of just helping me like polish it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good at I feel like I have a lot of freedom in the project, but I I've seen other work they've done and I'm a fan of it. So like I trust them. They seem to really respect their artists that they work with. So I feel very, you know, I don't feel so bad letting go of maybe a joke that I had or an idea that I had. Um, that they think is, you know, not really going to cut it or not going to work. Because I think if I was doing this with someone who wasn't very communicative and I didn't like trust that much, I'd be a little bit more clammish on like, you know, wanting to like get rid of some of those things. But pretty much they kind of help guide me. They don't really give me too many suggestions, rather than like maybe things to cut, or maybe like, well, can you like reword this a different way? And when it comes to the more visual aspects of it, they have been just like, you know, you do you.
That's so awesome. We do have a question about story. Hank dot humble. Now is your time, Hank. Uh, what techniques do you use to write your stories and worlds?
Well, for this story that I'm telling, I drew a lot more from like personal experience. So it's not like directly about things that have happened to me, but it's, you know, it's definitely emotions that I've felt, and it's just coming up with a character who's not really supposed to be like a vessel of myself. It's not like a self insert, but it's
Mhm.
kind of figuring out like this character. And it doesn't come at first. This character's had it's had they've had three different names. They've had like I've kind of like their personality I've like worked with, but it's just drawing them a bunch and seeing like how I imagine this character in a certain scenario. So I guess my process has just been drawing a whole lot, drawing this character in different situations,
Mhm.
trying to find a setting that makes sense for them. This story is much more grounded. So it's not a lot of like fantasy stuff, which I think has been a little bit easier with, you know, coming up with like characters and the whole world in general. But I don't know. I don't have like once again, I don't have like a super I wish I had a really cool process, but it's just kind of like thinking about it's just kind of putting yourself in other people's shoes and kind of being like, well, if I was this character, how would I feel if this happened?
Mhm.
And a very unsatisfying answer, but it's just,
No, I think it is a good answer, though. I do think maybe they're kind of wondering in terms. I do like that you went with emotion first. That was kind of how you kind of started thinking about your story, because I feel like when writing a story, it can be. I've personally I've noticed there can be either like a theme centric idea was someone is like thinks about a theme first and then tries to engineer it into a story, or then there's like a character based story where it's like, oh, I like this character and then I write it around them. Or sometimes I see a lot of people getting very excited about world building and spending a lot of time into world building, but then they kind of like get like a little bit stuck with the world and they have a hard time writing the story. So it sounds like for you, you were kind of almost more like emotion and or theme focused, I guess.
yeah. So it's like, you know, I don't want to give too much of the story away
Mm-hmm.
or talk about too much, but like, you know, there was something I was feeling some kind of way. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to express this. And I was like, I'm going to figure out a way to tell a story about this.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I just kind of came up, I made up these different characters and how they kind of play out the situation. And I think at least the way I've like written it was, you know, I did the classic, you take postcards.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of like, I had like just different scenes in my mind and then writing those out and then just kind of filling in the blanks. If that like
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out how to connect these scenes. So it wasn't as much of like getting down to the nitty gritty of the world building. To me, that stuff kind of has come as I've gone along. It kind of like has presented itself to me rather than me kind of making it, if that makes sense. Which is it felt more natural for me this time around. Whereas the first story I tried, I was like, it really felt like I was like manufacturing everything and trying to like force all this stuff in there. And it just didn't feel natural. Whereas like I had a different approach this time of, you know, there was something I felt strongly about, I had a strong emotion. So I'm trying to get it out there. And then I had all these different scenes in my mind and then just kind of trying to connect the dots. And that's been my process with the whole thing.
Yeah,
I will say writing it all down was the hardest part. Like trying to like be like, this is my story. I'm gonna write it down. That was the hardest part. The drawing stuff, the coming up with the like, I don't know, I guess you would say storyboarding was like that felt more natural than being like, all right, well, now I have to put all this in concrete. I have to like, you know, that was definitely the biggest challenge.
I agree. I think writing, like the act of writing itself, is not that difficult, but it's like just making sure that everything kind of makes sense and putting the ideas together in a way that is logical, like or like
Yeah.
makes sense. It's like the stringing it all together, I think, is what's hard about writing.
100%. 100%. I'm not a natural writer. So it was like it was very, very challenging for me. But luckily, once again, I have a very supportive partner who reads a ton. I was like, hey, you know words. Wanna look this over and see if it makes sense? So I felt very supported in that way.
That's amazing.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. I think the comic stuff is so fun. What were the comics that you were reading to get inspired? You
Oh
bring it up.
gosh.
Yeah.
So like I went to like, you know, I was trying to write for a younger audience. So I was reading younger book like target audience. So I was reading like, you know, like the Hilda comics, Moomin, Garlic and the Vampire, Natalie Andrewson's adaptation of the Nutcracker. I think it was
Ooh, Natalie was
I
on the
love it.
show.
Yeah, that one was that's
whoa.
a fabulous book.
Shout out.
Shout out. I'm trying to like look over my bookshelf now, be like, which ones was I reading a bunch? Yeah, like trying to go for more of like the younger audience ones. And then, you know, my partner's a children's librarian, so I was just like, just bring home a bunch of kids like graphic novels.
Oh,
I just want to see what's out there.
that's
And then
awesome.
yeah.
Do you get shushed a lot?
Shh, shh. Oh no. In this household, I'm so loud. I feel so bad. He's probably asleep in the other room and I'm just like waking him up constantly. But no, and then I'm trying to think of like some more like also like read a bunch of like I won't say a bunch, but like I try to like get into like the One Piece manga and like Mob Psycho. Read a little bit of the Akira books. You know,
Great for kids.
Great for kids.
Great for kids. And when I'm going to more like the adult ones, I've been Beneath the Trees Where No One Sees. Great one. Came out last year.
Man, we put you on the spot, and you really came out with some recommendations.
Hey, I think
I'm proud of how you answered the question.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about. You got to know what you like. You gotta do your research. And also, when I was talking about, or this is something I should have said when we were talking about like burnout and everything. Sometimes you need a recharge period, and that recharge period is just consuming media that, you know, it's like, oh man, this is great. I want to make something like this. You know.
Yeah, I feel like that's great advice because I feel especially like I'm feeling that right now where I'm like on the verge of finishing a big long web comic and I'm like, okay, I really want to take the time to do like a postmortem and recharge and read a bunch of stuff to get inspired and like, you know, I think that's such a great advice to like take the time to pause and think, by the way, for listeners, episode 140, Natalie Andreessen.
Hey, there we go.
Let's see. I want to know what that question means. Gabe Chisana asks,
I already know this is going to be a shit show.
do you think we'll
If it's
ever
from
get
Gabe.
season 3 of Mindhunter?
Hey, I have nothing to do with that show, but I'm just gonna say, just you know, to keep
I love that show though.
keep the faith. You know, just keep go back to the Mindhunter Reddit every day. Just keep refreshing. Eventually,
Petition your governor.
petition your governor.
I feel like that's so funny. I was like, what is there an inside joke there? But they also ask, are you ever self-critical of your work so much that it affects what you make and how much?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's good to be critical of your own work. Like I said, I think that's the main motivator for me is like I like my work, but I'm like never 100% satisfied. You know, it's
Mm.
like I don't ever want to reach the point where I'm like I draw and I'm like, well, I never have to draw again. That drawing was so good. I never have to pick up a pencil again. So there's always I'm always thinking of ways I can do things better, differently. So I do think that being a little bit self-critical does shape how I draw all the time because it's just I want to keep getting better.
Let's see. Ooh, this is a very cool question from the original NPC on Instagram. What do you feel is the role of art in society today, and how do you see yourself contributing to that role?
Oh gosh.
I know, right? This
This
is
is
a
a
loaded
very,
one.
hey, easy questions out here. I mean, I think there's a lot of roles that art can play in society. I think from my perspective, I mean, like, I don't know, there's like, not to sugarcoat it, but there's a bunch of awful shit happening in the world all the time. And like, I don't like, there's just stuff that, you know, I could make like a political comic or something, but there's a lot of stuff that I just don't feel like
Yes.
I have the, you know, I don't have the knowledge or really the experience to speak on. I would rather just like use my platform to like amplify other people.
Your political comics would be so funny though. It'd be just like a little wizard, like cryptocurrency. Like I
Oh.
don't know, like
Yeah, I mean maybe maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe I'll give it a try. But no, it's I would much rather like kind of save that for people who are more thoughtful and you know have more experiences with stuff like that. I at one point was very active in like local politics and you know part of my old job was like speaking to local legislators like like policy advocacy and I'd like
Mhm.
that is like that is like separated from my creative work.
mm-hmm.
So I think for me, what I see as my role, I'm not going to say the role of art in general, but my role in art, at least I would hope so, is just to just bring people a little bit of joy. I don't know. It's just like
Mhm.
if I can make someone laugh or feel inspired to make something of their own, that's like that's all I want to do. And
It sounds like
I hope I can fulfill that role.
you want to be what other people recharge to. We were talking about recharging, and people need to consume things that make them feel good to recharge in between being burned out. Sounds like you want to be that thing that recharges somebody.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I don't think I've articulated it in that way in my mind yet, but that's probably true. That's probably true.
Mhm.
Listen, I'm putting words in your mouth. This is probably how you feel about art.
Hey, you're right though. You're right.
I do think that's like a great insert, and also like that is how I think also about how I do my comic, and then when I see people coming together who read it and people who are excited about it and post comments like, "Oh, this is really helping me get through like a rough spot in my life right now," or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, this is really nice." Like it feels good to be doing art where people are like, they can relate to it and it brings something positive to their life. Yeah.
I don't think I like. I don't know. I don't know. I don't do anything that's like. I don't know. Just as long as I can make someone happy. Like if I can make like one person happy or like
Hmm.
inspire one person to just draw, be like, oh look, if this schmuck can do it, so can I. Like you know, it's
I was I was thinking recently. So right before TikTok got banned, Studio Digital posted both of my Bible OC cartoons, and I've been making these cartoons about the Bible extended universe characters, and the comment section is probably exactly what you'd imagine it to be.
everyone loved it. They're very
It,
supportive, and no one
they're
had any had any major thoughts about it?
Man, there are some long faith-based arguments about how blasphemous I am. and I do remember looking at those comments and thinking to myself, what's my role? What's my
What am I
role here?
doing?
What's my intended role? But at the end of the day, like, I was commenting back, like, listen, like, is it blasphemous to draw fan art OCs of Sonic that I love for the blue man, the blue hedgehog I worship? Like, I'm paying homage, and
Oh boy,
uh
you're a
Here we
little
go.
troll. You're so spicy. You're like, hey, let's
listen,
fight
dude,
about religion in the comments.
what if more people get into religion because of these cool Bible OCs? Like, have you thought
Are you a missionary?
about
This is how
that?
you're coming out
I
to
gotta get
our.
caught up on the lore. You gotta know the lore before you make your OC.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's so funny though.
Listen, yep.
Because it's true that they will find you, the people people who really care about like religion. I once posted, I still do want to do it. I've wanted to do a Yaoi Judas and Jesus
Hell yeah.
comic. I mean, that's
Yes, dude, and people would call you so blasphemous, but listen,
there is
you're doing a comic about Judas and Jesus, like that. You're making a religion-based comic. I
all
don't
the
know.
Fujoshis would like start reading the Gospels, but I just posted like a doodle of Judas like being like, I cannot with these feelings, and like somebody right away was like commented on it, like, and I'm like, that's crazy. How did they find me? Like, I've never interacted with that person before, and they found my Judas crying, like, they just, I don't know, they're really tuned in.
Is it all because he kissed him on the cheek or whatever?
It
Is
was
that
just like
the
him
where you?
crying about like
Because doesn't he kiss Jesus on the cheek?
well, here's my theory. I don't know if he kisses Jesus on the cheek, but I think
The kiss of Judas, yeah, also known as the betrayal of Christ. He identified Jesus to the multitude with swords and clubs by kissing him, and that's how he identified him. So you could fold that into the
dude,
comic.
I need to
It's
like
Oh my
love
god.
is the
I
betrayal.
need to like brush up again because my only idea for that story was just like he had to pick the pistol that he had the most faith in. He had to pick
Sorry, but if this isn't yaoi, I don't know what is. Look,
Listen, let
look, they're kissing, dude. They're kissing. Yes,
I mean, there's a
dude.
big, there's,
No.
dude, this is like such a popular topic. For a lot of,
Yaoi?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll get rid of it.
it's so,
Yaoi. So I'm so sorry. I'm gonna start a fight in this comment
Yeah.
section. It probably will make our video get more views, which is probably great. But sorry to take us into some
hold
dangerous
on.
territory.
I'll say one more thing on this subject
Mhm.
because the one animation I really spent time on making was like a really stupid like D&D animation. Okay,
Mhm.
this just goes to show no matter what art you do, someone's gonna find a reason to get pissed off about it.
That's so funny.
So I made a video that was like top 5 wizard spells. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the first spell was instant death spell, which is not like in the game. Okay, so whatever. And then I put like another spell in there, like I don't even remember what they were. It was like I had like prestidigitation in there or something. It was just like a silly little video, but like it was also like the first time I posted on TikTok.
Oh my
But like
god.
I posted it and like went to bed hung shu, woke up in the morning, and like there were so many legitimately angry people.
That's so funny.
Being like, you didn't put fireball on there. They're like, that isn't even a wizard spell.
That is so funny. Nobody got mad about prestidigitation because that one is like.
No. I'm also. I think I like in the video there was a bit where I was like prestidigitate. It's a hard word to say. It's a hard word to say.
It is a hard word to say.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, I mean, people find anything to get riled up about. That is very funny, just getting real riled. Imagine somebody, they're just at their like regular they're at their job and they get really mad on their lunch break because they found someone who the top 5 wizard spells list isn't what they would agree with. Like, that's so silly.
I think also, I don't know. You can. Here's the thing. You never really know who's behind the screen. So it could be a 10-year-old child, but it could
Mhm.
also be, I don't know, someone who's posting ironically or whatever. I don't know. They could be fake mad. At that point, I'm like, I can't really trust any comments
But they
online.
could be Hannibal Lecter.
Stop!
It could
Hannibal
be
Lecter.
a 13-year-old or Hannibal Lecter.
It could
It could be
be Hannibal Lecter as a 13.
Oh my
yeah,
god.
it could be 13-year-old Hannibal Lecter.
Wow, he just broke out.
Dude.
No, do you think they have TikTok in jail? Okay. Enough.
So do you think that 13-year-old Hannibal Lecter makes he chops up people and puts them in little dino shapes and then eats them?
I think his mom comes over and cuts his meat for him. I have a friend whose mom cut his meat until he was like 18.
No, like
Damn.
Yeah, like he would sit down at the table and then she would come over and cut his steak or
oh.
I mean, like,
yeah.
I wouldn't like that.
It's
No, I'm a big boy. I cut my own steak.
Yeah,
Mommy, I want to eat the big piece. And she's like, no, you're going to choke. You always try to eat too much at once. You never chew enough.
not gonna lie. Yeah, that would drive me up the fucking wall. All right. On YouTube, at Multar5898 asks, what are your top 3 wizards?
Oh gosh, can I count wizards I made up, or was it only wizards in media?
You can have one wizard you made up.
One wizard I made up. Okay.
Yeah.
We got Gandalf the Grey. We got Gandalf the White. Okay, now wizard that I made up.
Just 2 Gandalfs.
Gandalf the Maroon. Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously we gotta go with Gandhi.
Yeah. Gandhi Tartakovsky.
Wait, are you talking about Gandhi Pete?
No, Gandalf.
Oh,
Gandalf.
okay. I thought you were like
Gandalf.
going. I was like, he's a wizard. I mean, I know he liberated India, but also.
I mean, he also did some not so great stuff too.
So yeah, we got Gandalf. We got, oh my gosh, you put me on the spot now. You know, you asked me like what books inspire me. I can list off like 10.
This is worse.
This is worse because it's like
This is
after
worse.
Is Lord Zed a wizard or is Rita Repulsa just the witch?
Why not?
Let us know, chat.
Hey, let us
Oh,
know
yeah.
in the comment section. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my wizard knowledge seems to be lacking here. Or I'm so on the spot.
Ooh, somebody must have used a memory erasure spell on you.
Whoa. What about Merlin?
Merlin's one of my top.
Okay,
I would
Merlin.
say.
I was also gonna say like
Merlin.
Tom Bombadil, but I don't know if he's like a wizard. And also, it's like dealing with 2 Lord of the Rings. Like, I'm trying not to pick 2 Lord of the Rings.
He sort of feels like he's more a little trickster and songster.
Yeah.
No.
I put him
He's
a
I
little
think
bit.
he's probably kind of a wizard, right?
I always thought he was more of a not a gnome, but more of one of those like little like fae type creatures.
He's like a little god guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another wizard. Like now it's like a wizard quiz. I'm like, who's a big wizard?
Right?
I always felt like they could have shortened his name to Tom Badil.
Tom Badil.
and
Wizard
I
of
would have put
Oz.
him on my lists. Oh yeah, the Oz
The
guy.
Oz guy.
That guy kind of that guy kind of sucks. I feel
He
like.
does.
A little
I
problematic.
feel like the Wizard of Oz is always doing.
He doesn't have to be your
I'm not
favorite
into
because
it.
he's good. You could just like
Yeah.
his style.
There's a character from one of
Oh, Christopher Lee,
Christopher Lee.
the man, not Saruman or whatever.
just Christopher Lee. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna take the L on this one. I can't think of anything right now. I'll take the L.
Merlin, Gandalf.
That's so funny. There's have you guys played Everhood? Everhood, I love this game. It's an indie game. It's like a beat, like a rhythm type of game, but also dabbles as like an RPG. And you're basically this like wood puppet that like wakes up in this basic in Everhood, which is this other realm, and that's like
It's like Pinocchio kind of thing.
almost.
It's like a wood boy.
He is like a wood boy, but he goes through
It's like a
this
golem.
realm and that lives forever. It's like infinity, and he has to meet all these characters, and there's a bunch of wizards in there, and like
Oh,
and they're really cool. There's purple wizard, and then you kind of try to find out like what's up with everyone. It's very psychedelic. It's very cool. I really.
Well, do you have a favorite wizard from that?
I was gonna say I really like purple wizard from
Purple
Everhood.
You can't. No, you have to know his name.
That's his name.
That's his name.
I think so. Let me
Purple
check.
There's no way a wizard can be a greatest wizard if they're known as Purple Wizard.
Purple.
That
Okay,
can't
purple
be.
mage. Purple mage.
Oh,
So
See,
okay,
that's
slightly
where I'm getting
cooler
caught up
sounding.
on. Is like there's witch, there's wizard, there's mage, there's warlock. There's two. Like what are I don't want to. We want to like redefine what a wizard means here to pick our favorites.
Yeah, is it like top 5 magic men?
top 5 magic men.
Like, because like if I can count Baba Yaga, I'm gonna count Baba Yaga up there. But like I don't know if that.
I would say yes, because I don't want to discriminate witches just because a witch is a different word than wizard. So I say yes.
Okay. So we got
Maybe
Gandalf.
top 5 magic users. Is that
Oh,
that's
so like
that's much better.
Sorceresses kind of.
That's
okay.
much better. Let's go with we're gonna go with Gandalf. We're gonna go with Baba Yaga, and then a third one.
Fairy godmother from Cinderella.
Fairy godmother from Shrek.
Fairy godmother from Fairly Odd Parents. Wanda.
I didn't leave myself enough room to draw a big wizard. I was going to draw a wizard on this page, and then I drew these weird wiggly boxing people.
Quick question from at Gurgle Blorp Braps.
I'm not answering a question with somebody with that name.
What's your ideal sandwich?
My ideal sandwich. Is that the question? What my ideal sandwich is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, favorite. I mean, ideal sandwich. I don't want anything too wild. Okay, I'm notorious at having tummy problems, so I'm going with maybe like a nice turkey pesto sandwich.
Nice, yummy.
Yeah.
Top magical sandwich.
Gandalf.
Gandalf!
A Gandalf burger. Merlin panini.
Hudson B on YouTube asked, "What would you say is the best color?"
Best color?
Mm-hmm.
If you asked me, I think like pink, blue, and greens are my favorite. They're like my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of changes on the day.
Those are great.
I'm gonna say like salmon pink is my favorite color.
Ooh, that's a good one. I agree. Pink is so nice. I don't know. It's very calming.
I had pink hair for a very long time, so it's grown on me.
Oh yeah. And then you were like, "Is it just too much maintenance?"
Yeah.
Can you?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no! Tell me about your maintenance.
Ah!
No. Go ahead.
No. Please continue about your
maintenance. Well, just to be real, I am a person who has a body that has a receding hairline, and bleaching my hair too much was accelerating that process. And I was like, we're gonna cool it for a little bit. Let's reel it back in.
That's a great answer.
Dude, I say lean into it, keep the pink hair, and kind of have a hairstyle like this.
Oh shit! I like
just
mohawk skullet.
Yeah, just kind of like that. Like that looks fucking sick, dude.
Looks like that's like a preset hair, and like I'm like, wow.
Preset hair in wow. Oh my god.
Yeah, they call it the rooster or some shit.
Yeah, I know. I'm with Jam on this one. I'm like, I don't know if I would go. Listen, I like that you're a visionary, Sean. I This is great.
Well, I think that if you like pink hair, then you should live your dream.
Oh, 100%.
With
100%.
if you let your hair grow out like that, I'll cut my hair like this and have it green.
Oh my god, then we can like we're like each other's missing pieces.
Yeah. I'll be your missing piece. I think it's cool. Anyway.
Do most guests, like when you have like a serious professional on your stream, do people ask them about their sandwiches?
We've had I like to ask these questions because they're like cute, and it's kind of like I
Cute.
think the audience is like, oh, they get to like, especially for your fans, like they get to like know a little like fun tidbit about you.
The problem is with like super serious, I don't know, whatever, director guests that have a billion film credits. Sometimes we never get to the point where we're talking about just like some chill ass like fun and food and what hair dye is their favorite and like what their favorite wizard is. And sometimes I feel a little bit of regret that we didn't get past kind of some of the career stuff and get into
Pretty
like,
pretty.
yeah,
Hair dyes. No, but it is fun to kind of like also, like show like there's a person, a real person behind the art. Another question like that we have that I think is really cute is from Tori Late. Do you prefer the draconic or red like kobolds? They love your
We go,
work.
we're going rat like. We're going rat like, baby, all day. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not. I feel like if I had to pick a side between scalies and furries, I'm picking furries. Okay.
Oh no, my heart.
oh,
Look, it's all preference. It's all preference, you know. But I like the nice little fuzzy guys.
it's hard. Do you feel like it's harder to make like reptiles cute?
No, look at
And
this.
that's
Look,
why.
check this out. Okay, check this out.
Check this out.
Look at this.
Everybody
Here's my
listening.
classic reptile kobold drawing that was going to be my logo at one point, but then I was like, I don't need a logo.
That is so
Look,
cute.
look at this guy. Bam. I mean, overall, probably a little harder to make cute, but well, I don't know. I think they're about the same.
They're about the same.
About the same. It's like, look, I'll try to make like a little. They're like almost draconic in a way.
I love scalies. Love reptiles.
Oh, don't get me wrong. They're very cool. They're very cool.
It's true. Yeah.
But if I had to pick,
And you have
you
to.
know, going with my little rat boys. What's your favorite? I'm gonna put you on the hot seat now.
Ah.
If you have to pick, okay, top reptile to draw.
Ooh. Top reptiles to draw. I love to draw snakes. Ah, snakes are lizards.
Duh, it's just a line, dude. That's so easy.
No, because their little face. Like a snake with okay. Snake with mouth open. Very cool. And then you could do the royal cobra. Very cool too, with the little wings.
The Cobra Monarch, got you.
Mm-hmm.
What's my go-to? Maybe like a gecko, leopard gecko kind of guy.
That's very
Okay.
Those guys are cute. Yeah, like how much do I draw an alligator?
Like, I would rather draw a dragon than an alligator. I think alligators just.
Oh, yep, dragon. Dragon is what I mean. Does that count as a
I
reptile?
don't know. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't say. But I love drawing dragons. They're fun.
I think you should apply the wizard rule to it, and it's just it's there's no sense
Yeah,
in
like are do wyverns count? You know what I mean? Do drakes?
worms.
I guess Komodo dragon is the closest thing to a real dragon. They just don't have wings.
Those things are so gnarly. They're so cool.
We had some other questions but I feel like we've kind of went over them. So I will thank the users for asking them. Rex Iovi, thank you for your question, which was what inspired you to study art and well, I guess maybe it's a little bit different. You know what? Let me ask the question. What inspired you to formally study art and pursue a possible future in teaching art? What do you hope to teach others about art?
Yeah, I mean, so I touched on it briefly, but last fall was my first semester of community college ever. You
Oh,
know, at the ripe age of 30, I'm
mm-hmm.
going back to school. I just felt like it would be beneficial for me to have a little bit more discipline and a little bit more guidance in my practice. So I felt like, I didn't feel like it was necessary, like, I didn't have to. But like now that I know that this is what I want to do with my life, it wouldn't hurt, couldn't hurt. And also if I ever wanted to do any like teaching thing like that, you have to like have a degree in the state of Maryland. So
Oh, I see. Would you want to teach it in, at what level would you want to teach?
I think doing something like maybe like a 2D fundamentals class, I think would be super fun to teach, where it's like you're
Mm-hmm.
not going deep on anything. You get to experiment with a lot of different mediums, and you're just getting people excited about working with just doing art, expressing themselves. And I think that would be my bread and butter. I don't, I don't have any illusions about my technical skill or knowledge really. So I think just getting people excited about art would be awesome. I would love to do.
Yeah, like how much construction paper would we be using?
Hmm. I'd say at least two.
Yeah, how much glitter does my mom have to put up with?
No, but I think that'd be super fun. So
That's awesome.
I don't think if I was gonna go the teaching route, I wouldn't be teaching anything serious, but just be, hopefully trying to get people excited about making stuff.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. I think that you'd be a super fun
Mm-hmm.
teacher.
Because you kind of do that a little bit with your community. I guess, well, I guess with the motivational aspect of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and you've taught me a lot about friendship.
Aw, spew.
That is so.
That it's not worth it.
Ah!
No, I'm
my
just kidding. No,
God.
no, that's
Oh
so
my
mean.
And with that, that's the end
God.
of this
That
creative
can't even-
blog.
Friendship isn't worth it. Make a hate account on Twitter to post all your meanest tweets. Top 10 atrocities. No, I love Jam. Always like drawing with my friend Jam.
Yeah, that's one thing I really do value. Is if I see you streaming, sometimes I'll hop in there and then we get to do a little doodle sesh. It's very fun.
I love me a doo-doo sesh.
Is there anything? We had a prompt for Inkian and Paige the Weary Traveler and Elister. Thank you so much for your questions. Since we just kind of had similar questions previously, we're not going to get really too much into these. But this was a ton of fun, and I really liked hearing like all of the different stages that your career took because I feel like sometimes as an artist we can be like, oh, it's going to be this one thing and that's it. And then when that one thing like fizzles out or disappears, then it can be really scary. But you've managed to kind of morph throughout the years. And I think that's really cool and inspiring. Is there anything that you want to plug?
Well, hey, we're talking about the Discord. You can join my Discord
Mhm.
if you're interested in art or even just enjoy looking at art. Where it's an open community. We're very chill. The only rule is don't be a jerk. And I guess my sticker club, that's like that's like my bread and butter at the moment. Every month I'll send you 3 die-cut stickers. I make like 10 designs a month, and people vote on their top 10 or their top 3. So it's you get a say in what you get. And yeah, I don't know. I really appreciate you having me on. It was super cool to sit here and chat with y'all and doodle with y'all. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I know I'm not super experienced. I know I'm not super professional, but I hope anything that I said could help you get out of a rut or something if you're in a rut, or just continue on, chase that dream.
I love it. That's so nice. Well, with these very inspiring last words, that's the end of this creative block. Jam, Kobold's Crossing. Thanks for being our guest and sharing your story.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much. I had a blast.
And thanks to our listeners. Follow us on social media at CRTV Blog, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask our guests. Huge thanks to our editor, Clements, for the many edits that I'm sure they will have to do on this episode across audio as well as visual. Marco for helping us produce the show, and Abuka for creating the short clips that we've been putting on social media.
If you love our show, you can support us on Patreon. Becoming a patron gets you early access to interviews and access to our Discord community. Another great way to support the show is to like, subscribe, comment, all of these things. If you enjoy listening to this episode and you want to keep it coming out every week, please consider subscribing and interacting with our content. Click the link in the description of this episode to follow Jim on all their socials and to find their Discord. And to also, you can find our Patreon in the description. I have been your host, V.
And I was Sean. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.